When the police chief said that you cannot attack federal agents, don't ram them with your cars, that sound reasonable to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I and pretty much every person out there has been extremely clear of nonviolent protests. I've never seen anyone at these protests that have been violent. But, you talked about history a second ago, Leland. You said that J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson need a history lesson. I'd like to give you one. When masked men are deployed by an executive figure into our streets, when they are kidnapping people, entire families, naked, zip tying their hands and throwing them into U-Haul trucks, they're usually not the good guys. And in fact, it doesn't usually end well for anyone involved. I personally would call that the secret police.
Okay, well, you can call it whatever you want. As far as we understand it, ICE is following the law. You may not like the law,
but they are not.
But it is the yes.
They are not.
Yes,
Here's the thing, Leland. We just had a press conference this Friday where we demanded transparency, accountability, and safety. The transparency aspect.
You can demand whatever you want, Kat. You can demand whatever you want. You hold on. No, because you just said something that's not true.
The law requires that we are allowed to, that elected officials can inspect these facilities, but ICE hasn't let them do that. Why?
Yes.
Why not?
Yes,
if they're following the law, no, they have not.
Yes, they have. Yes,
no, they haven't. This is a continual issue. You can say yes, they have, but it doesn't make you right.
I have some of your talking points here, including one of them that says that you're upset that people who have shown up with medication for their loved ones have not been allowed in. The law is pretty clear. You can show up to prison. I can show up to a prison and demand to see my loved one inside and deliver medicine. They're not going to let me in there either. And if I try to push my way in, I'm going to get arrested. I'm wondering why you all think that because you're protesting ICE, that you somehow have special privileges.
I love how these two totally separate things you just mentioned are completely different. These are families that I have watched who have been told by ICE to bring medication, life-saving medication, to their loved ones. It is a processing center, so people aren't supposed to be there for more than 12 hours at a time, and they are tear-gassed.
Why do you think that somebody protesting ICE has any more rights than anybody else? If I go stand in front of the FBI office and try to block an FBI agent from leaving, I get arrested. It's pretty simple. Why should those rules not apply to you?
I don't think any of us have more rights than anyone else, but I think we have rights. I think we have the First Amendment, which I thought conservatives liked, but I guess not. Honestly, the reason I'm on this show is to let people know, let people that are watching your show, what is happening. I am a 5 foot tall, 110-pound woman who has been thrown by ICE 3 separate times, just existing. One of which I was trying to help someone not get run over by a car.
You weren't just existing. You weren't just existing. You were trying. You weren't just existing. You were trying to block federal agents or assist those who are.
I was trying to keep someone from getting run over by a van.
Maybe if the person wasn't standing in front of, maybe if the person wasn't standing in front of federal agents, that wouldn't be a problem.
Look, you can talk over me all you want, but I want people to know this is what's happening on the ground, and you have rights.
What's
and I
happening?
Know that things that we're being tear gassed, that people are being taken from their homes. ICE agents repelled from Black Hawk helicopters and arrested naked children in the middle of the night.
No, they didn't. That's been completely debunked. That's been completely debunked.
Literally has not. I have watched a little girl be detained. I watched it with my own eyes.
No kids were zip tied.
I have watched a child be detained with my own eyes.
Okay.
And I get that things are scary out there, but if you're watching this, this will come for you eventually, and it will hurt your loved ones. And we all deserve our rights.
Sure, I couldn't agree with you more. I think there's an important question.
I think you could disagree with me because you are.
I think everybody deserves their rights, but